think you were a little less gray, like yesterday when I talked to you.
A little less. Oh shit, bro. Honestly, like my
You look like you aged a bit in the last 2 hours, man.
like I'm on my own in the apartment, and thank God, like it's just me and the dog. But the dog nearly left me completely. It was. I had to just. I probably apologized to my dog about 15 times in that game for shouting at the TV, and she was
Have
like,
have I ever sent you pictures of my dog during rugby games?
no.
My dog watches it. She sits up on the couch or she like lays up next to me and watches, and we don't know why. We think maybe because it's a green field and she
Yeah.
sees things running. But my
Mm.
dog will sit and watch rugby with me. Like she knows when it's rugby time because she finds her little spot. She'll either get up on top of the Chesterfield so she can see the TV, or she lays up right next to me and stares at the TV. I don't. Maybe it's just because like the whole time she's been alive, that's when we hang out on the couches watch rugby. So
Perfect.
maybe that's what it is. And then she knows if it's a win, she gets cheese afterwards because that's
Mm.
like her
Maybe
treat.
maybe that's a good tactic. I'm looking down here because she's at my feet, and
Yeah,
I'm feeling bad for myself. But
you got to make a treat a reward so when there is rugby, your dog knows like, all right, let's be good because if the team side, dad's side team wins, I get a treat. So I took notes throughout the entire game.
oh, my heart is weak. My heart is weak
I
after
mean,
that.
it started out like not really the best. 40 seconds into it, I think it might have been 45 seconds into it.
Mm.
The former All Black Tamara Barlow crossed over, and they had to go to the TMO on it. Ended up being it looked like his foot was just across the touch line. I think is what it was. Like I think that's what it was. Yeah, yeah,
Teddy Toma, yeah, the winger,
yeah.
Teddy Toma, yeah.
So it doesn't count.
He was
Um,
a yeah.
you get a couple of minutes later, Crowley with a misplaced kick, I guess, if you want
Yeah,
to call it
he
that.
tried to kick it to his winger inside his own half, which is a
Yeah.
bit dodgy. Yeah.
And it just looked like kind of handling issues from both sides. And then Casey, like 2 minutes later, we're in a great position. He gets a nice kick, good line out, everything afterwards. So it was kind of like a guy would make a mistake and then somebody else would pick up the slack,
Yeah,
like right afterwards.
yeah.
Um, I didn't see the yellow card for Andrew Smith. I know it happened, but what do you remember what the infraction was that led to Andrew Smith's yellow card? Was it a high tackle? Was it
Like both. Yeah, like it seemed to be clear out, but both yellows. Like, I mean, I'll come to it later on, but yeah, they seem quite weak to me. Like,
yeah, yeah.
I'll be
Um,
honest. I text our referee friend in the middle of the game, and who rates Andrea Piardi really, really well, and I felt early on in the first half, it looked like Piardi was quite. He was a little bit. He almost looked out of his depth. You're like, hold on,
I
now.
would say he looked overwhelmed.
Yeah, overwhelmed. Yeah,
Yeah, I don't know if it's out of depth, just overwhelmed, and you see that with officials sometimes. They're just not really quite ready. Um, Unfortunately, La Rochelle makes you pay a couple of minutes later with the Captain Aldrich crossing over. Um, or actually, he does the run and then he gets it off to the was that Argentinian Botia? I think he's Argentinian who got the try at the 12th minute.
yeah.
So and then West easily converts it. So it's 7-0 12 minutes later. 12 minutes into this thing. 3 minutes later, multiple phases for Munster outside the 22. Build up the possession, and then O'Brien overhits the pass to Nash on the play. So it kind of really goes nowhere. Couple of minutes after that one, we've got Munster knocks on the ball ahead of some sloppy play at bit. La Rochelle looks to punish them. They accelerate. They get within the other 20 side of the 22. It's 10 to 15 seconds, rapid passing, just kind of making a lot of things happen. And they get it to about 5 meters out. and Munster gets the turnover 5 meters out, so it kind of saves the day. They come up big defensively there at the 19th minute. They do another attack a couple of minutes later. La Rochelle just attacking, trying to overwhelm the defense, and they do hold firm once again, which was a good thing to see. Just a couple of minutes after that, TMO checks for a high tackle on La Rochelle, and West gets the yellow card for that one, and I agreed with that.
He stood up tall.
Yeah. So, and then finally, I'm a South African rugby guy, rugby supporter. Yeah. What about Takir, man? What a run! He saw the gap and he fucking took off. Like, it was off. And I mean, like, he's not Cheslin Colby. He's not Kirtley. He's not a small guy. Like, he's quite tall for South Africa for a guy. And he sees a gap. He takes it off. He gets it to Craig Casey, who crosses. But that was really the catalyst for that. Was Takir himself. You had actually texted me like, yeah, that's what we pay him for. Like it's those kind of big deep runs you get to see.
I actually had said it before the game, just to interject. I had said it before the game that, in my kind of team sheet analysis, I had said that obviously he's been put in there at 15 for breaking, the chance to break the line in, open play.
And he did that on that. That was the perfect example. A little bit of back and forth, 32nd minute. Nash gets a nice, good run, but nothing comes out of it. He does end up going off for blood injury. You never like to see that, but especially if it's a guy like that, you knew they're going to tape him up and he'll be right back out because that's what kind of guy he is. You kind of know, just tape me up. They'll use the little glue solvent thing and they'll glue it and tape it and you're fine and he'll finish.
Make sure you don't bleed. Yeah.
Yeah. Make sure you're not bleeding everywhere. 38th minute, Antonio wins the scrum penalty. I mean, you kind of expected that when you saw what they had as a front row, that it was going to be scrummaging was not going to be an easy day. And it wasn't. It never was.
Never. Oh, no, you're right. Yeah. And I said that beforehand as well. Yeah. Because people questioned, just to interject again, people questioned why Jan Klein was put in there at number 5. It's tight headlock. And the reason he was put in there at number 5 is to put a fucking rocket up Ollie Jaeger, who's our tight head's arse. Put a rocket up his ass and try and really, really lock down that scrum. Because you have to understand, we were facing Winnie Antonio, and behind him was Will Skelton.
Yeah, the Wallaby. Yeah, it's going into half, Byrne gets a really, really nice interception, but unfortunately, Omeni knocked it on. No. What was his penalty? He'd conceded a penalty. West aims for the post, kicks it through. So we go into half at 10-7. A lot of handling errors in the first half. I'm not going to lie. It got kind of like one of these teams is going to have to break it open at some point. You can't just have these kind of handling issues on both, because they were both having them terribly. Yeah. And the crowd looked great. A lot of red in that crowd. You had been talking about this all week via our WhatsApp texts and talking on the phone that Munster shows out. Munster shows out on the road, and you were not lying. That stadium was easily 50% green or red, excuse me.
Yeah.
Going into half, I kind of was hoping that the handling issues got addressed. I was hoping that the guys would calm down a little bit, because I felt like that's what it was. Whenever they would get, 7, 8, 9 phases deep, it was almost like they would kind of lose focus. And it was like, okay, we just want to keep the ball moving. No, you need to control the ball as you keep it moving. And
later on in the game, we're going to see how that did happen.
How it eventually happened, yeah. 2 minutes after the half, Nash turns the ball over, and Crowley gets the penalty, and Crowley kicks it, so we're all evened up at the 42nd minute, 10-all. So it's anybody's game still. It was anybody's game at 10-7. It was anybody's game at 7-0. It was anybody's game at 7-7. Unfortunately, La Rochelle, 5 minutes later, it looked like Skelton with a good offload. We just talked about him just momentarily. I have to go ahead and say something. I told you this already. I got here in the U.S., I did not have the English commentary.
Okay, like you didn't have. How do you mean you didn't have the English commentary?
I had the French. I had the French commentary the entire time. So if you see me stumbling through things, it's because I was listening to it in French the entire game.
We're going to have to hook you up, bro. We're going to have to.
No, this was the legal way. This was through Flow Sports here in the U.S. They just didn't have. Maybe I was on the wrong, but it gave me the French feed. So
Okay.
if I miss a few names, understand it's because I was not listening.
Yeah, listen to the French.
It's hard to hear names in French. It really, especially when you don't speak French. But La Rochelle gets the try. Looks like, is that Thomas? No.
Teddy Toma?
Yeah, that was who got the try at the 46th minute. So it's 17-10. La Rochelle retakes the lead. Or excuse me, Munster takes the lead at 17-10. A couple of minutes later, Gavin Coombs, who we've discussed in great detail as being one of the most mobile flankers eights in the entire competition in all of URC.
Yeah.
Very mobile, super fast. I like the fact that he's kind of got like that like he's got long arms, you know what I mean? Like he's got mobility, but he's got reach. We saw that earlier today, unfortunately, in the Leinster game. You see a guy like Otto Snyman who just uses his arms as like, hey, this is my reach. This is what I can do. Gavin Coombs uses his feet and his arms, ends up crossing over 22-10, and it looks like Munster's going to run away with this thing at 22-10. It's like, okay, they're going to score one more, and that's it, and that's game.
Yeah, but yeah.
They get a couple of more attacks going. Another yellow card at the 52nd minute. It looked like it was
shocking. Absolutely shocking.
Was that the head? That was
Alex Kendellan. Yeah, that was
right into the head.
Honestly, like we have referee friends. Just let's all get together and let's have a look at this and please, referee friends, tell me where and who and show me the incident where this maul was pulled down, because I can guarantee you, even the French people were telling me this wasn't pulled down. That it just looked like, it got the guy got tackled and that was it. They stood there for ages looking at this and they were like, it's as if the referee had decided already it was pulled down.
Yeah.
He was looking, he was cherry picking for information, but it wasn't quite clear. It was never clear, and the TMO never said it to the referee. He never actually said, sorry, I actually don't have evidence of the
foul play here. Yeah.
And, it was a yellow card, but it was also a penalty try. So,
right. Yeah. So he goes off for 10 minutes. It's like Kendellan who went off for 10 minutes. Connor Murray comes on at this point for Craig Casey. I thought Craig Casey did great for what it was worth, obviously with the other issues that were happening. And you got a veteran like Connor Murray, with him and Jack Crowley, you know what you're getting with those two because they're sound and Connor Murray's really a veteran. Crowley is somewhat of, but Connor Murray is definitely a veteran.
Connor Murray he showed ice in his veins. He just
I guess the final kind of dagger that kind of closed it all. Jack Crowley just gets in the right area. And I mean, like, I'm not the biggest fan of drop goals. I mean, last summer we saw what they did to my Springboks in Durban. Granted, Joel Stransky drop goal 95 World Cup, but this was just a perfect opportunity. I sometimes I don't like it when they go for drop goals when they can score a try. This was one of those. I just need to put a little something. I need to put a little something on the end here just to make sure we get this win. And he slots it. It's an 8-point game at that point. Game's not over. Oh man, we do get one more try for Hastoy, I think is his name. Hastoy.
Yeah.
And it's massive conversion, 25-24. And that's Byrne gets the turnover at the 79th minute.
The turnover. That's the I honestly
down a man.
Down a man. Yeah.
Gets the turnover, and that's game 25-24. The final score. Who does Munster play in the next? Or what game do we need to watch to find out who they play in the next round?
Oh, holy shit! I need to figure that out now.
Hold on. I'm gonna pull that up real quick because I'm curious here.
We'll put it up. Because my feeling after that is Munster are going to be pretty spent, but because they have to play next week, obviously. But listen, overall, Munster showed. This is the feeling that I had. They just showed incredible resilience. They didn't ever give up. Like, when it looked like La Rochelle were just going to cruise in to score tries, they never gave up. Like we saw early on in the second half.
It's the Bordeaux. If Bordeaux wins, we play Bordeaux.
Yeah.
If Ulster wins, it looks like we will play Toulouse. I think that's how it works. Because do they reshuffle it in each round, or is the bracket feed directly?
This is the problem, mate. And it goes to one of my videos earlier on today. Nobody bloody fucking knows. So yeah, how are we going to expect people to come from, South Africa and get their shit together when we're here in Europe? So yeah.
Well, it was the underdog. We're so far the only underdog team to win. La Rochelle. Obviously, we saw what Toulon did earlier to Saracens. God, what was worse, that or what Leinster did to the Harlequins?
I actually think Saracens' loss was worse, but yeah.
The 70 because of having 70 put up on you. That's
70 put on you. Yeah.
And scoring 40. Like in most games, 40 points is enough to win a game. Not in that game, it was not. So,
so pathetic. But yeah.
So we had Benetton get eliminated earlier today. Claremont got eliminated by Northampton. So we've still got left. We've got the Sharks, Sale Sharks and Toulouse, Bordeaux and Ulster, Glasgow and Leicester. And those are the only games remaining from this round, this initial round of 16. So now that I've gone through all the notes here.
Yeah, the notes. What about the feeling?
Down to the brass tacks, Colin. I'm going to shut up. I'm going to let you tell me because you had a very big emotional investment into this. You've been driving that into me all week. Let's hear it, man. I'm all ears.
Bro, I'm I'm literally bowled over with emotion at the moment. Yeah, this is Munster Rugby, the European Cup for us is everything, absolutely everything. We commit everything to this, and it means a lot. It means a lot to play La Rochelle, to play, Raj O'Gara is our greatest ever player. It's huge. It really is huge, and to see that the guys stepped up. There was guys there that played. Even we talked about Takir Abrams. He went off with an injury as well. I hope to God he's okay. But, he probably stepped on the field. He wasn't ready to play. Do you know what I mean? He wasn't ready to play.
Yeah.
But he just played. You know what I mean? He just played. That's it. We've got to go. We've got to go, guys. And so many guys stepped up. Like we have, the guy who came on the field, what was his name? our back row that came on from Waterford. What's his name? I can. I'm just. I'm
This
fucking.
is what happens when you've been drinking, gentlemen. No, but
Oh,
not
it wasn't that bad. It wasn't that bad.
wait,
But
but he hasn't been drinking Don Chilada.
I haven't been drinking Barcelona.
Was it? It wasn't Weckerly, was it? Which
No, I'm talking about.
a Hearn? A Hearn?
Ahern, Tom
Hearn.
Ahern. Yeah,
Yeah,
Tom
that was
Ahern
who you're talking about. Yeah.
from County Waterford. Like there was a lot of discussion before the game because he played really really well in the last two rounds in the URC, but he hasn't got a start. Why isn't he starting? But he came on and he made such an impact. Peter O'Mahony, being totally honest with you, he was okay in this game, but I would say that at best. Where we won it was our halfbacks. Our halfbacks were just so cool and ice cold under
Well, I mean,
pressure.
Crowley obviously man of the match for the game, but I could have argued that it could have been Tug Byrne as well. Like he had a couple
Tyburn.
of really crucial turnovers.
Oh, there was a couple of them.
Just being you know, I'm trying to think the best way. Being a motherfucker in the rock, dude. Like he didn't give a fuck in the rocks, and that's what you need, especially when you're going up against guys like Antonio. Like there's no room for mucking around. Like you've got to get in there and cause trouble, and he did the entire game cause trouble. So
Everything about him, maul defense. Like there was one or two times, I almost texted him. Was like Tyke Byrne is the best player in the fucking world. He's just unbelievable. Like I don't know how many turnovers he had, and it wasn't like it was like innocuous turnovers. It was, if he doesn't do this, we're more than likely going to concede a try here. We're under
yeah,
serious pressure. And he did it 3 to 4 times in his own 22, and it was.
there was the one right at the 5 meter line that he got, which was like a big deal. I was like, holy shit. Then you line out, and then I remember Casey kicking it into touch because it was like they were attacking, like La Rochelle was pressuring big, and it was like they wanted the ball back. It was deep. You saw a lot of situations like that. You saw a lot of points where, like I said, guys would make mistakes and other guys wouldn't. And it would
Yeah,
kind of like, not to quote Rassi Erasmus or the box, but that's what you do. When somebody's having a bad day, the guys rally around them and carry them through the game. And you saw that quite a bit in this game. There were multiple moments where guys needed to be carried. You were talking about Omeni not having a great. There were multiple points where he was getting carried, and you could tell.
yeah, yeah. But
Combs,
there was a few times I saw I saw Jack Crowley picking guys up and slapping them on the back and keeping them going,
yeah.
constantly talking to these guys, and like that's leadership. That's real leadership. Do you know what I mean? When you know that he's going to back it up to have the balls to do something when it needs to be done, like that drop goal. It's incredible. I mean, I have to say, like La Rochelle were well and truly in the game as well. Like this was a really good contest. Like we saw, like this is by far the best tie of the round by a mile, a country mile. Like
Yeah,
all
because it
the
wasn't one-sided as hell. It wasn't
yeah,
one side.
all
Both teams excelled. Both teams made mistakes, and I would rather watch something like this than watch somebody put 62 points up and the other team score nothing. That was
it's embarrassing and it's
yeah.
not
That
good
was.
for anybody.
I mean, like to me, I know it's not going to happen, but if I was Andy Farrell, I would be looking at Marcus Smith and going, really, really, like
You're done. Yeah,
you
that's what I
want me
was.
to take you? I know it's going to happen. He's going to get picked. We already know he is, but it was just kind of one of those. Today you saw, and this wasn't even, in my opinion, a full strength Munster squad. You didn't have Nankiville.
No,
If he had been out there, I think it would have been quite a difference too.
missing two fullbacks as well.
Two
So
fullbacks, like yeah, you're using a winger to play fullback. I mean,
yeah,
yes, we know Takir can play fullback. He can also play 10, but I wouldn't want him at 10. He's a winger or he's a center. like
I
preferably.
didn't realize that. I didn't realize that, but yeah, okay.
Yeah, you know what I mean? Like he's not typically he's playing out of position and he had a great game. Obviously that first try, he was the catalyst for all of that. He saw the gap, he took off running and you're winning with kind of patching places up and a lot of teams can't do that. A lot of teams can't patch spots and can't still win games and Munster did it today.
Yeah, I mean, like, I'm absolutely delighted. I mean, I'm not gonna, but like that penalty try that they conceded,
Yeah.
like that was never, it wasn't even close. Like, there's no, like, you could line 10 other referees up and ask them, tell me who pulled this down, and absolutely none of them could say it because it didn't happen. It was
Yeah.
just, it was a clean contest. So that's 7 points that happened there that, made it a game. In the reality of it, Munster started the second half like a train. They were just,
Yeah,
they
yeah.
were,
No, it was a completely different team. The mistakes were cut out. You could tell whatever happened in the sheds at halftime. Whether it was the veterans standing up and say, "Hey guys, we got to calm the fuck down. Like we got to stick to the game plan here. We can't. If we play how they want us to play, we're gonna lose. If we play
yeah,
how we're supposed to play, we're gonna win." And obviously, they got the win. Now we just wait to see who you play in the next round. Each game is win or go home. There's no consolation tournament. You either keep going or you don't.
yeah. This is the beauty of the cup. But yeah, yeah. I mean, what would I say? If you were Clay Macmillan looking in on this, like, how would you assess it? Like, you'd be looking at this and thinking,
So
wow,
I don't even have to be Clay McMillan, dude. Look, I didn't grow up with this. The Champions
yeah,
Cup is a foreign thing to me, man. Like, and we've discussed this how like that's why it's not really an exciting because it's foreign to me. It's completely foreign to me. Like,
yeah, 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 yeah,
I,
yeah.
I don't I don't get like the allure of it that you guys have. Like, I get it's there, but like personally, like I'm not like the hype and the everything. I haven't gotten it yet. I haven't gotten bitten by the bug yet, if you want to call it that. And like for me, you're saying, hey, how does Clayton McMillan? He looks at it the same way I do. It's a completely foreign thing. Like in Super Rugby, you play Super Rugby. That's it. You're going up against competitions and teams this is the only time you play them. This isn't like you don't get to play them once or twice a year. This is it.
You
Every
go ahead to head.
play.
Yeah, yeah,
You're going to play some local opponents and whatever if they make it deeper or you play them within your pool. But it's like, dude, honestly, like looking at all these teams in the bracket that I had pulled up, like, dude, I couldn't tell you anything about the French teams. Like, I couldn't tell you anything about them. I can't really tell you anything about the Premiership because I just don't watch that. Premiership because it costs here and I'm not going to pay to watch that. And French because it's too much, man. I've got Super, URC, and ML.
yeah. You can't watch everything.
It's
That's
too
totally
much.
understandable. Yeah, it's totally understandable. You can't watch
So
everything.
for me,
Yeah.
it's like a completely foreign idea playing these teams that you know nothing about, and it's like, okay, I don't really know. I mean, we know the big names, obviously, in French rugby. It's going to be your Toulon. It was Racing 92. I guess they're not really.
Toulouse in general. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, like it's who the bigger names are, but like if you don't grow up and you don't see those games week in and week out, like I don't, you don't know what to expect going into each round. Look at like the games that week and you can kind of say, okay, this team looks good, this team looks good. Like I knew going into this entire tournament that there weren't going to the likelihood of a South African team making a deep run was almost nothing. Like I knew that coming into the whole tournament. Like I knew we were not going to make a deep run. So you try to concentrate on the teams that you do know. Obviously we have the Challenge Cup going on. The Lions got absolutely thrashed by Edinburgh, which is what we expected. And the Bulls won. So I think the Bulls are it now. I think
Yeah, it's not a buzz. Yeah.
so.
In general, I've never watched the Challenge Cup.
Exactly. Like it's like because to you it's like why bother? Like it's just
Yeah, we always thought of it like this is very arrogant, but like, and it is very arrogant, and it came from like Munster gone by, where Munster were the best team in Europe, but it was the Losers Cup. That's what it was.
I mean, you can call it that. That's exactly what it is. It's the tertiary. It's the consolidation tournament. I mean, When was the last time Munster played in the Challenge Cup?
We've never played in the Challenge Cup.
Oh shit! Are there teams that have never played? I mean, I'd imagine there's got to be teams that, like you guys, have never played in it.
Well, we've never played in the Challenge Cup.
Yeah. Wow. I didn't even know that. I didn't know that. That meant, because I think it's the top half go to the champions, the bottom half go to the challenge, and I mean, the Sharks won the Challenge Cup last year. They were absolutely terrible in the URC, but they won the Challenge Cup, and I think South Africans were at least excited for that a bit. But yeah,
Well,
it's a completely foreign tournament, and you're going to have to understand Clayton McMillan. It's going to be a completely foreign tournament to him, But I think with him coaching the All Blacks 15, that kind of thing, he's at least got his feet wet. He's going to have a general idea of what to expect.
I think he's going to look at a game like today, and I think he's going to take a lot of confidence. I think he's going to come into a group of guys that are capable. Like we need a sprinkling of dust on top, like to kind of guys who are like, we looked at our bench. Our bench was quite weak, in general. But
I'm beginning to realize the difference between Southern Hemisphere club rugby and Northern Hemisphere club rugby. You want to know what the big difference is, other than the excitement around the club rugby in the Northern Hemisphere?
Well, I'd love to hear what you think, yeah.
You've got to have 35, 40 players.
Up here, yeah.
You have to. You never had to in Super Rugby. I mean, it helped to have maybe 35 so you can send half the club over or whatever. But you have to have 35, 40 players deep. You have no choice. There's so much going on. There's so many moving parts. You've got the URC, you've got the Six Nations, you've got the Champions Cup. You've got to have depth in Northern Hemisphere rugby to make a run.
100%, but that's not going to be a problem for like just to make my point for the South African viewers or South African rugby fans. That's not going to be a problem for you guys.
Like you don't run club rugby like that. You might have 35 guys. To make it work in the Northern Hemisphere, you've got to have 40 deep. You've got to have 40 deep. You can't have
the Champions Cup. Yeah, for sure.
You've got to have a complete roster. You've got to have 2, 3, 4 guys that can play every. You know what I mean? You've got to be deep to make because it's so much more rugby than what we're used to in Super Rugby. We're used to 16 rounds, 3 rounds of playoffs, and that's it. That's all you do.
Let me tell you what. Here's the suggestion that I make, and you've all these South Africans that are playing international rugby everywhere. They don't need to. They actually don't need to. Bring them back.
I mean, the reason that they do that though is a financial reason. The rand is very weak compared to the pound and euro.
You have to first things first. Like what we're talking about is you have to have the spending power to actually.
You have to have the pockets for it. You've got to have the coffers to do it.
For sure.
I don't think all the South African teams have the coffers yet. Of the 4 South African sides, there's 2 that I think could potentially put 40-man rosters together, and it's the Bulls and the Sharks, and we all see how bad the Sharks are. I mean, they're horribly coached, but that's the difference. Like I said, like when you grow up, like me being a huge Chiefs fan, where Clayton McMillan is right now, they might have 35 guys total in their wider training squad, but it's really like the same 27, 28 guys that they use every week. You can't get away with that in the Champions Cup. You can't get away with that having the URC, the Six Nations, and the Champions Cup going all at the same time. 28 guys isn't enough. You've got to have 40. You've got to have 40 because there's going to be injuries. There's going to be guys that are too tired. There's going to be guys that need a week off. There's going to be guys that can't play a full 80 minutes.
Yeah, you're right. 100%.
And it's the difference. It's the difference that I'm noticing the longer I go into this, is that's the difference between club rugby in Europe and club rugby in South Africa, New Zealand, Australia. That's the difference. minutes.
Yeah, there's literally there's two different layers to it. So taking Munster as an example, like we mentioned, we were talking about the game last week against Connacht, and it was just like handy that all of these players came back into the squad right the week before the Champions Cup
Yeah.
knockout game. Just like, and if you thought that was a coincidence, then I think you're a bit naive. But um, that's how it works. So a player might pick up an injury, okay, and then he goes on to a recovery, kind of pathway, okay, and then he's immediately he moves from one team, which is the URC team, to the potential, team later in the year, and they manage their time based on availability, but yeah.
I mean, I can imagine a stat line. Say a guy's very young and very healthy, plays URC, plays Six Nations, plays Champions Cup. I mean, that you're putting in some serious fucking out. You're putting in some serious time on the pitch. You're putting in some serious minutes.
Yeah.
And I think where we've talked about maybe the bane of Northern Hemisphere rugby, the thing that maybe keeps you from making those big World Cup runs is
Okay.
maybe it's too much. Maybe, but it seems like you guys already have that idea because you're having these huge club squads. So it's like you're letting guys rest. You're letting guys take time. We saw what Leinster did on their trip to South Africa. Obviously, they lost to the Bulls. That team that played the Sharks was a development team. That was not you know what I mean? Like, that was not an A squad by any means. But
No, it's like what I will say is it certainly wasn't an A squad, but if you looked at the amount of caps that
they
the player had for Leinster, not for Ireland, because I've had this discussion. Like people were coming back at me and they were saying, "Oh, but these guys have only got 10 caps for Ireland." Okay, but that's because they're behind Caelan Doris, World Player of the Year, and like they've still got 30, 40 caps for Leinster, Champions Cup games, URC games. They were certainly not development squad players. Now there was a sprinkling of development guys in there, but if the Sharks looked at that and thought, if they were looking at it like that, and I'm sure they weren't. I'm sure they were not.
Well, it all makes sense though, because then you see the very next week what Leinster puts out on the pitch. You see why they did that. You see it's because they rested all those big name guys for a Champions Cup run. And like that to me is kind of a little weird too, because it's like I'd kind of rather just win the there you go. Does it? Yes, they had 21 players missing. And for me as like a South African rugby guy, I'm just like, why the fuck do you do that?
Yeah.
But then you realize this week when you see what they do in the first round of the Champions Cup, you realize, well, that's why they did that. And they have the ability to. We see how bad the South African teams struggle when they go to Europe for the URC. We don't have the ability to do that yet. Yeah, we don't have the ability to do that yet. It takes time, obviously, but like
100%, it takes.
That's the difference. That's the difference between European club rugby and Super Rugby and teams that were in Super Rugby. Super Rugby, you didn't have to have that big of a squad because all you were doing, and there was no breaks. There was no break for Rugby Championship, break for International. No, you just play Super Rugby. That's it. That's all that's going on. Everything was compartmentalized for us growing up on Southern Hemisphere rugby, or those of us that live there too.
Yeah.
Everything's compartmentalized. In the Northern Hemisphere, it's not compartmentalized. You just have rugby season. And it's not just like this. It's everything. It's everything.
Yeah, messy as well. Like, I mean, the schedules, the schedules are messy. You've got the top 14 teams play incredible amount of games, and
it's crazy that like there were 5 Super Rugby games this week. 5. That's it. 5. That's it. The same amount as Major League Rugby. Like, and then you look at the URC schedule on any given weekend. You know what I mean? Like, there's 8. And then there's 5 Premiership games, and then there's another 8 French games. It's so much rugby going on, and I get it. You have to have the depth. Alan Spicer is the next RG Snyman. No, I don't think so. But I mean, I have a completely different opinion about RG Snyman than Irish people do. So, Snyman,
yeah.
Snyman,
One
SNY.
thing I will say, is like in terms of a contest, you can say whatever you want about quality, okay? And like there's various different levels of looking at quality. What we saw today was as close to a test as you're going to get. Like there
I
was
still, I
mistakes.
still don't get that from club rugby, man. I don't think I don't know if I ever will. I don't think I ever will, man. I think once again it's compartmentalized. I use club and I use test, and I can't really. It's like sevens. Like I can't get into sevens the way I can get into 15 aside. I just can't because it's a different game to me.
Well, I don't know. Like, I mean, if you can find a club game that was a higher standard than what we saw today, in terms of pressure, in terms of, having the balls to do what you have to do, you know, uh, like nothing else in the round. Like that was the game of the round. That was by far the game of the round.
And,
Countrywide.
and I think that's weird because you'll say that, but then Leinster fans would say the same. Everybody kind of has that same vibe about it. Like I said, that's kind of
Yeah,
that's
but
the
look,
vibe. That's the vibe that you guys have for your club rugby, for your what I call it, the best of the best tournament. Like it's basically the Club World Cup essentially. Until we get a Club World Cup, which I'm going to be completely honest with you. If you'd asked me 6 months ago about a Club World Cup, I'd be like, "Oh yeah, a Kiwi team would probably win it." After
never,
after
never.
what I've seen in the last 6 months, they might make a deep run. They might make a deep run, but I don't think they win it. No, there's just European rugby. Your rosters are too deep. There's too much depth. Even if they do it at a neutral site, like if they do it in like Dubai or something like that, your rosters are just too deep, man. Like I could see I mean, you can see even in Super Rugby when they have to send a lesser squad to Fiji to play the Drua, they lose. Teams lose, and it's the Fijian Drua, which people think, oh, that's the Fijian national team. No, most of the Fijian national team is playing in France and England. They're not playing for the Drua. They don't make enough money to play for the Drua. So,
Yeah.
you had mentioned
That,
to me in a message that you want to get some Fijians.
of course they do. Absolutely, of course they do. Incredible athletes. Yeah, yeah. I mean, absolutely incredible athletes. Like
Dude,
we're looking, as I said, we're looking for a little bit of sprinkling of stardust to come into this squad and kind of give us that little bit of extra.
you ever interacted with Fijians?
Sorry.
Have you ever interacted with Fijians, like hung out with Fijians?
Yeah, I mean, Simon Zebo is like, his
Yeah,
dad's
his dad
Fijian.
was Fijian, yeah. But I mean, like,
Yeah.
actual, like, fresh off the boat Fijians.
No, I've heard they're quite different class.
Well,
Yeah.
most of them don't speak English. They they seem to all have the same talent, and you know what that talent is? They can play about 5 chords on a guitar, and they can sing. We had a guy that played here for Dallas for a bit. His nickname was Deaky. I couldn't tell you what his first name was because it was like, this fucking long. Deaky barely spoke English. He just smiled a lot and nodded, and he was a hell of a rugby player. When I was in New Zealand, Australia, they are really nice people.
That's the
They're
thing
nice.
that I
They're
love about
really
them.
nice people.
Yeah, really nice. Yeah, yeah.
And I'm sure if well, are there? Let me see how many are on the Chiefs right now. I know Tukiahu is Fijian. I think Samazoni Tukiahu. I think no. I think he might be Samoan. Maybe pull this up here. I've got to pull the roster here because I mean, of course, it's not going to have a Fijian flag next to their name if they played for the All Blacks. Let me. So is Tukiahu? Is he Fijian? No, he's Tongan. Excuse me. My apologies to anybody that is a Fijian that thought I thought that he was Fijian. No, I don't know if there's even any Fijians on here. I can't see any. I mean, that's the thing about New Zealand. If they're Fijian and they've played for New Zealand, you don't see a Fijian flag next to their name at all. Period. So, and I got in a lot of trouble with that in New Zealand. I couldn't tell the difference between Samoans, Tongans, Māoris. I could tell Fijians for the most part, but um, yeah, I'm sure it probably wouldn't be a hard time for him to get one over. But I think there's also Rugby World Cup could be Spain or USA. 2031 is already going to be in the USA, supposedly. What do you think? 2035 Spain? Would you be cool with that?
Honestly, I don't care. Like Spain, like what? Like why Spain?
Well, why the US? You could say the same thing about the United States. Why the US? Like,
Hopefully, like they're gonna. Hopefully, people won't lose money by like it's a major earner, like a loss of earnings to actually go to a World Cup.
I mean,
Hopefully,
I
at
mean,
some stage.
do you want to know how I feel about it?
Well, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, 4 fucking World Cups and you won't give us another host? What kind of shit is that? You'll give it to the US, who has no rugby infrastructure. You'll give it to Spain, who has no rugby infrastructure. You'll let England host it multiple times, France host it multiple times, New Zealand. You'll let Australia, who is in their worst part in history of their rugby program, host a Rugby World Cup, but you won't let South Africa host another one.
Yeah, well, it's a boys' club, you see. They're
What
just
kind of
sharing
shit
it
is
around.
that? What kind of shit is that? Like,
It's just sharing it around, mate. It's just sharing it around. We all know that. We all know that.
it
You
goes
look
to
at,
the same
I mean,
3 places over and over again.
oh, Daza's talking about Trump. Get away with your Trump shite now, Daza. I don't want
Well,
to
like
hear about it.
Trump doesn't know what rugby is, does like,
No,
I don't think he even
with
knows it
orange fucking
exists.
muppet. No, no,
He's
no.
too
He's
he was
like
too busy golfing this weekend while our currency plummeted.
cheating at golf as well. But yeah, look, I mean, I have to say, I mean, like, what a victory for Munster. What a victory for Munster.
Yeah. Is it back next week? We're back. We're this next round next week, or do
We're
they
back
take?
next week. We're
Okay,
back next week.
okay.
So
It'll be the next 2 rounds, and then they take another break, or do they just finish out the tournament? No.
no, it's 2 rounds and then a break, I think, pretty
And
sure.
then the last 2 rounds, and then that's it.
Yep. So it's quarter, semi, and then there's a bit of a break to the final. But I mean, just what a victory! What a victory! It's incredible. Like to play. First of all, to play La Rochelle, like unless you're a Munster fan, you won't understand. But like Raj is our greatest ever player. Like to go over there to his, and he's been so successful.
Do you think he's having a beer with his former team right now?
100%. He like I heard. He even said it in a pre-match interview. He was having a beer with them yesterday. Like so.
Tell me what other sport can do that. Tell me what other sport can your head coach go drink with the other team? And it's like, oh yeah, it's just part of the game. Like,
Oh, he's having a beer right now. I mean,
man, I fucking love this game, man. Oh, people ask, why are you into rugby? Because of shit like this, man. When your head coach can go have a fucking beer with his former team that he's coaching against, and it's not like, oh, there's something nefarious in that. No, it's like, fuck, man, it's part of the fucking game, man. Like,
100%, 100%. I
so
mean, like he told them all week. In the papers he was saying, you're not quite ready. You don't quite understand, but La Rochelle is about to be overflowed with Munster people. It's about to be taken over. Like you said it, the stadium looked red. At
a
least
lot
50.
of red, a lot of. I love seeing the throwback jerseys that a lot of those guys were wearing. They were wearing the old jerseys, and you're like, "Fuck yeah!" Those are probably guys that don't live in Ireland. They probably live elsewhere. They flew in for the game. I'm surprised your ass didn't do it.
Oh, I've got other things to consider right now, but yeah.
Well, yeah, I mean, and I can imagine the call after this if you were at the game. It would just be you, like, with a beer. Just like, we fucking won, man.
I mean, like, my voice is broke. My voice is absolutely
Yeah.
broke. I mean, I was speaking to a referee friend in the middle of the game, and it was like, Andrea Piardi, he's fucking completely, he's lost it. He's
Yeah,
lost it
yeah,
completely.
yeah.
And then by the end of the game, I was apologizing. I was like, no, he's okay. He's okay. He's okay. But
Well, get a week. We'll see what happens. This guy is saying away to Bordeaux. I don't know what's going to happen. If that is who it is,
Bordeaux Begley, yeah.
it's going to be another better pack your shit tight, boys, because it's not going to be an easy one. Because I mean, based on the ranking, you will not get a home game. Like,
No, we won't.
these will
No,
all be road games, and
100%.
people don't get it. If you never played sports, dude, being on the road sucks because you're not sleeping in your bed. You're not eating at the restaurant you're used to. You're not, you know what I mean? Like, you don't get all the comforts of home when you're on the road. So winning on the road in whatever sport you play is hard as shit because you're just not comfortable. So, but it's at least they're staying in the same country for the next round. They don't have to fly to a fucking country. They can get on a train or bus and go to the next town, train their asses off, get ready. So yeah. Thank you for jumping on the live with me today, you guys that came out and hung out with us. Appreciate it. Hit that subscribe button, that follow button. You can find Colin over on TikTok. The man is finally breaking out of his fucking shell and making content. That's not him just getting yoked in the fucking gym. It's him talking about rugby. Dude,
I've got far too many opinions. And all my friends are sick of listening to me on the phone. So I may as well just share it online,
Yeah, it's what TikTok's great for. I mean, like, when I first found you, we found each other on TikTok. I look over at your page, and every video is this guy just fucking putting up fucking weight in the gym, man. Just like, I'm like, son of a bitch. I don't want this guy to see what I look like. He's gonna think I look like a tube of fucking biscuit dough, man.
I look like shit right now. It's nothing got to do with it, but honestly, like, yeah, I mean, if anyone wants to go and have a look, just literally look up Colin. That's my name on TikTok.
Yeah.
Yeah, give us an old follow. I mean, you're always going to get an honest opinion from me. I'm not one of these guys who does like clickbait. I'm not like trying to fucking cause arguments. I'm just literally, I'll give you my opinion, and that's kind of it. If you agree with me, that's cool. If you don't, that's cool too.
Yeah. All right, man. Thank you for coming out. Thank you guys for coming and hanging out on the live, and we'll see you guys again probably next week, man, for another post game. I need to do my research, so at least I know if I have to watch another bloody French feed of this game, who the players are.
It will be. It's more than likely going to be Bordeaux because we have to play Bordeaux. Have to play Ulster. But yeah.
Before we jump,
you've got the right jersey on. You've got the right jersey on. You're a bit of a good luck charm now. So Munster after winning, so you have to keep that jersey on, and we'll change nothing about this arrangement. We just keep it going, So yeah.
Hold on, man. I cannot. I guess I'm not spelling it correctly. Is it BEU?
Bordeaux, BORDEAUX.
Okay, there we go. I'm just gonna look at their roster real quick before we go because I am curious to know who's all playing there. If I know any of the names, obviously. Oh shit! Okay.
He'll be ready.
Is there. Van Rensburg is there, but I bet he's not really playing. Ben Tupai is there. Mofana is there. Oh, my favorite prop in the entire world is playing there. No, he's not, but I like him. I thought it was Ben Tomafina for a second. I was like, is that Ben Tomafina? No. Damn. Adam Coleman, the former Aussie who plays for Tonga now, is there. Guido Petty is there. Pete Samu is there. God, Jesus Christ. They've got some fucking names on this one, man.
Yeah, Bordeaux are pretty good.
Oh, shit. I didn't know this is where he's playing. So this was one of those guys back when I first started talking about imports on the Irish team that like I gave the pass to because he was born in New Zealand, but I know he moved to Ireland as like he was
Joey
like
Carberry,
Joey Carberry. I didn't know that's where he's playing now. I mean,
yeah. He moved to Ireland very, very young, but yeah, he failed.
dude,
I
he
mean,
when did he leave Munster last year?
like a year and a bit ago. Yeah, we couldn't wait to get rid of him. He was fucking useless.
Oh, come on, don't say that about him, man. Come on, Joey Carberry was good in his time, sir.
Yeah, not for Munster. He was
Yeah, I didn't realize that's where he went, man. Joey Carberry is playing for Bordeaux. Do I think they play him against you guys? Probably not.
I
Probably
hope so. I hope so. Hope so.
because he's just trash. Is he just rubbish in your opinion?
I would say he never quite had the mentality, like what we saw from Jack and in the last couple of weeks. He just doesn't have that mentality. To have the balls to do what you have to do in the moment, and even when it was nobody expected it. Nobody expected that drop goal. Nobody expected
No,
that drop.
like I said, I'm not the biggest fan of them, so I don't expect them. But you know what? When it comes to you Irish folks, I need to just get over that fact because you motherfuckers will do that shit. You don't give a fuck. You will do that shit. I think it's also though because every time we attempt to do them, it's always somebody like Damian Valemza or Cheslin Colby, and they miss by like a fucking mile. Like it's never even close. So, yeah, but we'll be back next week. You guys, thanks for coming out. Thank you once again,